Well, like music, it exists in time. The greatest thing is that it extends the human vision. It's got capabilities that physically we don't have. So the camera is everything. I don't remember if it was a birthday or a Christmas present or something like that. My father brought home a little metal red projector with a light bulb in it that got, and the unit got very hot. Anyway, the idea was to slip underneath this little overhead projector anything you wanted, and it would throw it on the wall. This was a big deal, and I eventually wound up making strips of things, little cutouts from magazines, newspapers, things like that, and pushing them under the projector and seeing this, and that was a big deal. Maybe a few years later, still a young child, I dug an empty mayonnaise jar out of the garbage, cleaned it up, and went outside. Down at the curb, and we lived in a housing project, and at the curb were ground up pieces of colored glass, green, blue, brown, ale, beer bottles, Pepto-Bismol, 7-Up, things like that. And put these little chips of glass and handfuls of grass and other little things that I can't even remember into the jar, filled it with water, screwed on the top, and held it up to the sun and turned it. And that tumbling materials, the light coming through, the water, and all of that, that really stuck with me. Third would be the viewing of a film when I was at Cummington Community of the Arts in Massachusetts, my last year in undergraduate school. A painter who was there, his name was Abbott Meter, said he wanted to show me a film that was made without a camera, and he told me this was the work of Stan Brakhage, who I'd never heard of, and he showed me Mothlight. He had a print. We went in, and he projected it. I'd never seen anything like that before. I asked if we could look at it again, and we did, and then a third time. And that little silent film stuck, and it made, it had such an influence. So those three things. The usual suspects, Rauschenberg, Brakhage, Diebenkorn, Kenneth Anger, Paul Scherritz, Hollis Frampton, Jasper Johns, Picasso, Arvel Part, on and on and on and on. I like that. The honest answer is I think it was 34 or 35 years old, a little late in the game. My whole schooling and existence has been as a painter, and it wasn't until graduate school, a couple of years spent at the Art Institute of Chicago, I came in when Brakhage came in. We each shared the first semester there. I found out his class would qualify as a history requirement. I took it, and took the second one, took the third one, and took the fourth one. I graduated, continued painting, and somewhere along the line, I purchased a Super 8 camera, very, very inexpensive, one step up from a toy, and this became something that a real object of fascination. So there wasn't a decision to become a filmmaker. It eased its way in. And I had reached the point in my painting where the paintings had become almost invisible, white on white. And they got so quiet and hard to see. I set them aside, and a new tool got picked up, and got a better camera, and things went on. And it became a very obsessive thing for close to 10 years before bringing it to an end and going back to painting. I made films. I haven't in a long time. I mean, I don't know. They weren't made for a specific reason or purpose, fame, glory, money, all pretty much out of the question. They provided a way of keeping what I was looking at. And then they formalized. They became something that I could be proud of. That I could really. It was a way to speak my mind, and I don't mean cerebrally, but visually. For a filmmaker, not to try to compete with Hollywood. You don't have the budget, you don't have the means, or the technical, you don't have the team around you. To think of it more as something like poetry, where you only need a pencil and piece of paper. I think the best advice would be for the person to go to something like Vimeo and look at. There's a worldwide network of young and unknown filmmakers, video makers, just like yourself, and that would be the place to get hooked on. That would, be important. Prismatic music. This saving of 40 films is something that I am very proud of. This came about through the efforts and the loyalty and friendship and generosity of a former student of mine, Jeffrey Plansker, who suggested the idea, and next I knew, I put together 40 of the films that I had made. I selected 40 of them and got on a plane, went out to Los Angeles to the Cinelicious laboratory, and watched this process evolve. And then to New Jersey for the disc to be made, and then included in this set is a 24-page book of historic documentation, posters, flyers from shows a long time ago, and essays. Anyway, this is a big deal to me. The more accessible an art is, the richer the rewards. And from what I've seen, this, you've got what you have here was never available to me at the time. This Indiana University cinema is just incredible. The library that's here, the AV system, and of course the team. There's nothing like it anywhere else. This is, you may have to edit this out, but it's for a film junkie. This is nirvana.